Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media, let's make some noise.
Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Beer Nuts number 118. I'm Chris. I am in Detroit today, and my last beer on tap is... God damn it. It's one of the ones from the last show.
Good name.
My phone is taking its time here. But yeah, we'll pass it on to JR.
JR here at Grosse Ile, Michigan, here from the island. It's a few miles south of Detroit. My last check-in on Untapped is Into the Big Wide Canyon with Jerry from Tired Hands Brewing Company in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Delicious double IPA.
Uncle Pete here, joining JR in Grosse Ile, Michigan. My last Untapped check-in was an Odd Side Caged Wisdom Brute IPA. One of the new and upcoming takeoffs on the IPA style, which was very dry, very aromatic, and quite a showcase for the hop flavor in this beer. So very good job, Odd Side Caged Wisdom.
Well, and this is Dugout in Clawson, just a few miles north of Detroit. And, that Caged Wisdom is a staple in the fridge now. And I think I might have stated in another episode that Brute IPAs are the New Englands. And you will see those exploding within the next 6 to 8 to 9 months. You'll see more and more and more of them coming out. But my last check-in on Untapped is 2017 Dark Passenger from Griffin Claw Brewing Company, which, by the way, we need to do a show on those guys real soon. And they were on sale at the brewery. They're clearing out their 2017 stash for $5 a bottle. So I went up there and spent a few bucks, and $5 for bourbon barrel aged bottles is pretty darn good, if you ask me. But it's a strong ale with cinnamon and molasses. It was quite good.
And mine was Ivory Stout from Brewlink, if anybody cared. So, but this show, we're heading to Northern California. We're heading. I don't think we've ever really done a show on this brew. I know they've been featured many times. They're a storied brewery, one of the first craft breweries, if not the first craft beer makers of it. Anyways, we're doing a celebration with Sierra Nevada this week.
Amen. Yeah, we want to do a little tribute to Sierra Nevada. They are unfortunately experiencing some issues with the campfire wildfires out in California, so our heart goes out to everyone affected by that, and we thought we would honor them as one of the OG great original craft brewers of all time. And we're going to kick off the show by all of the Beer Nuts, except Chris, who couldn't find any, with one of their great seasonal offerings that just hit the shelves, the Celebration Ale. 2018 Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. So it's a wet hop with fresh hops, just came out, so nice and fresh. So again, this show's a tribute to one of the great iconic craft breweries of all time. They do have a second location now in Asheville, North Carolina. So they're at least if their brewery out west is affected, at least they have the East Coast brewery to keep on the pipeline going. But again, we have Pete and I have a glass here poured, and we're going to review this beer, and then Pete's going to talk a little bit about his visit to the brewery just a few months ago when he was on his national brewery tour of the country. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him introduce you to the flavor profile, and I believe Dugout has one to enjoy with us as well up in Clawson.
That I do.
All right, well, looking forward to this one. I look forward to all of Sierra Nevada's offerings. The Celebration Ale, basically being one of their seasonals, and this is a celebration of the once we started getting into the Christmas season. The label just let me describe a little bit here. Has like a snow-covered cabin on it out in the woods and the mountains, and just a very refreshing looking label, very festive with lots of deep red, and you got pine trees on there and lots of snow. But this is a fresh hop IPA. So when they do a hop harvest, there's some fine print on the back of the bottle. First brewed the Celebration IPA in the winter of 1981, and I think Sierra Nevada was started around 79 or 80, somewhere in that area. So one of their first beers. We use only the finest hops of the growing season to create the complex and robust ale. Layered pine and citrus hop aromas balanced delicately against rich malt sweetness to shape the bold wintertime classic. And we brew this in Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina, to bring you the finest quality beer. So, taking a look at it, this is a very, very clear, copper-colored beer. The aroma has a mild aroma. This is a very nicely balanced, smooth beer. It's got a great mouthfeel, a nice sweetness, followed by a very nice, rich, piney hop profile. It does feature Cascade, Centennial, and Chinook hops, and I think if you are a follower of most of Sierra Nevada's year-round beers, you'll find that a lot of them do feature those three hops in particular. So, they stick with what they're really familiar with and what they're good at. But a very nice, smooth beer. I'll let JR and Doug and Chris chime in for some more comments.
I love this beer every year. This is my favorite beer around the holiday season. And, don't let the name fool you. You're not getting any, cinnamon or nutmeg or any of that other crap that you always think, get around the holidays with the holiday ales. No, I can taste this beer while you guys are describing it. I love seeing when that little log cabin comes around in the wintertime, because this is my favorite holiday beer. I could taste it right now, and I'm so mad I don't have one.
Well, you'll get one soon enough, but I have to agree, it's one of my favorites. I look forward to it every year. The first one I ever had was in, I believe, 91 or 92, and I've had it every year ever since. So it's changed through the years. This they're now making it with using fresh hops as opposed to pelletized hops that they used to do in the past. It's it's kind of interesting, having had it all those years, that it seems like the beer is tamed down to me, but I think my palate has adjusted to that hop profile. So it seems a lot more normalized to have a beer like this than it did, 20 years ago. That would just wreck your palate.
You're among friends here, Doug. You got a good support group here for that problem.
Yeah.
It is a 6.8% ABV and 65 IBU, so it's in a great sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, I think it's got a beautiful balance to it. It's got a nice malt backbone, and it has that classic hop lineup, but it also uses those fresh hops, and that really brings out the nose of the beer. A lot of pininess and citrus in the nose, and just overall great drinking beer.
Not much left for me to add that hasn't already been stated. The first thing I've noticed about this, and what I love about it, I love the color, that reddish copper color, almost like I know we've had red IPAs, but being it's a fresh hop, a wet hop IPA, and you get the really not overpowering hops on the aroma, but just really well balanced. I love that maltier red IPAs that have that color. I tend to gravitate to. It's just a little bit more sweetness in the malt that I enjoy. This is a style I enjoy. Red IPAs, which is kind of an obscure style that not a lot of people are into. It's in my wheelhouse, and it's just a a perfect start to the holiday season every year. I can remember way back in around 1990 being in the wine business. I worked for a wholesaler that had only a few SKUs of beer, but we did have Anchor Steam was one of our SKUs. And one of the other vendors, back then there were just so few beers that would even called craft. But I remember the guy from Select Wines who, by the way, had Sierra Nevada, and we would have the same accounts. And every holiday season, he would trade me a case of big assorted Bigfoot in Celebration, and I would mix up some Old Foghorn and Anchor Steam for him. And it was just a memory of mine that I had that whenever I see the Sierra Nevada label, it reminds me of my first experience with the brand and how it was a treat that every Christmas we'd make that little swap between competitors that, time for the holidays, we kind of, we all work hard and play hard, and we would always have a little swap there. And that's what this beer reminds me of, and it still tastes fantastic. And those are great memories, and I'm sure there'll be more memories to come with Sierra Nevada Celebration.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can take you back to 1984 when I relocated from Southeast Michigan. I moved out to Sacramento area in Northern California, and turned on right away to Sierra Nevada beers. And my brother and I, he was a resident there. I moved in with him, and he was a certified beer judge. And at the California State Fair that summer,
I have that T-shirt too.
We all should have earned that by now. But I did help him at the State Fair one summer, and Sierra Nevada was present, certainly, and their beers were amongst, in the early 80s, their beers were very popular amongst the crowd, and those were some great beers being tasted. And I know at the end of the judging day, I do recall fondly that we were able to meet the guys at the refrigerated trucks out back, and we ended up taking home plenty of good cold Sierra Nevada beers. So that's just one of many of the stories I can share. But I just wanted to mention, that we want to celebrate Sierra Nevada and give them kudos for their big hearts and for opening themselves up to supporting their community. As JR mentioned early in the podcast, they're being affected by the camp fires. The big fire in Northern California in the town basically decimated the town of Paradise, which is just east of Chico, the Sierra Nevada Brewery. If you go online, you can probably see some pictures of the Sierra Nevada Brewery, and out in the distance, you can see just a line of fire raging across the horizon. But God bless Sierra Nevada. Unfortunately, they did have to disrupt their brewing operation briefly over the weekend, but they're up and running again. And what they've done is they've opened their doors, and they are presently feeding the first responders, the firemen, the police, and everybody that's out there doing their rescue efforts, and also anybody who's been displaced by the fire. And it hits home personally for Sierra Nevada as a company and as a corporate family, because they have plenty of employees and friends and family that are affected and displaced by that fire. And they did start a relief fund. They seeded it with $100,000 out of their own pockets, and they're taking donations through Golden Valley Bank Community Foundation. And you can find all this online if you just do a search on Sierra Nevada Campfire Relief Fund. And any money they collect will be distributed to all kinds of organizations that are dedicated to, supporting the community and helping to rebuild. So I just, our hearts go out to everybody out there who's affected. God bless Sierra Nevada. We celebrate you for being a pillar in your community and doing what you're doing. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. And I'm on their website now. You can donate to the cause. You can go to Golden. I think it's Golden www.goldenvalley.bank is Golden Valley Bank's website, and there is information on their page on how you can donate. to support victims of this fire. The article I have from brewbound.com indicates that roughly 10% of their workforce has been displaced by the fire. So it's hit close to home for the brewery. Fortunately, it says that the firefighters have done a pretty good job at protecting Chico. So at this point, they don't think that the brewery is going to be threatened. But they also said that there's been minimal impact to their production, but that they have Mills River standing by in case it's necessary to increase their production. But at this point, God willing, the fire can get contained and be prevented from affecting damaging the brewery. So,
and Mills River is essentially Sierra Nevada East, correct?
That's right. Yes. Yeah, as I drove into Chico this past September, I came in from the north, and all the way between the Northern California state line, where Oregon-California state line, all the way down to Chico, I didn't take the interstate. I took a back state highway, and I drove through some areas that you could tell had just been totally wiped out in years past by fire, and it's just a strange, eerie feeling. It's like being in a desert of forest. It's like trees with no leaves or no pine needles on them, and everything's black. It's like toothpicks. And it's just sad to see mile after mile after mile after mile, it goes on. And it's unfortunate that, these things have to happen. I know they're still looking for the root cause of this particular fire. But to get to the happier side of the coin, when I did arrive at the brewery, this was one of my bucket list items, and man, what a nice, beautiful place. I mean, big windows out front with the huge copper brew kettles on display, and windows around the side where they had all the fermenters and all the industrial equipment and the cooling equipment, and they had a huge tank farm outside in back of the facility with all insulated tanks. So quite a big bill they're paying, I'm sure, to keep all their beer cold, and temperature controlled anyway. But a huge operation there in Chico. It's a small college town, and it'd be, for anybody that, if you ever get to go out there, you got to put it on your list and stop at Sierra Nevada. Beautiful tap room with stained glass and rich dark wooden bar, huge indoor and outdoor dining area, and just tons of selections of fresh beer right off the tap. I didn't waste any time. I sampled so many, and I ended up buying quite a bit in the company store there. So highly recommended. Sierra Nevada, one of the originals, amongst the originals from the late 70s, early 80s, and joining up with people like Anchor Steam and others. So just again, celebrating Sierra Nevada, and I just raise my glass and toast them.
Amen. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, I just looked on their website. The brewery was founded in 1980. Ken Grossman, the founder, had been brewing for 15, 20 years. Not many people were home brewers back then, so he is a pioneer. So 1980, just to give you a little background on just how old I am, that was the year I graduated high school.
Oh.
But that's the year that Sierra Nevada was founded. So
I don't get to feel young too much anymore. I was one.
Yeah, I don't either.
I was 79, mighty fine.
I was one.
We all grew up with this brewery, and in a world that I can remember back in 1980, there were just a handful of breweries, period. I think there were less than 100 breweries existing in the United States at that time. It was all about the big macro breweries, and how far we've come. We've got over 6,600 breweries now in the United States. And in 1978, I think there were less than 80. So these guys were pioneers, and I'm glad that they're still in business, and I'm glad to continue to support them, and not just because of their iconic status, but because they continue to innovate and change with the times and continue to crank out great tasting beers. So speaking of that, let's go to our next beer. I think Dugout's going to go next and introduce to us to another Sierra Nevada brew.
right. What I have here is called Hot Bullet Double IPA. This is the can version. I've seen there's bottles out there too, but I got the can. I was trying to. There's still beer in it, so I can't really see the born on date, but it's really super fresh. So this beer is just trying to find my little cheat sheet here because I use those sometimes. So a little bit about this is what's written on Untappd, and I think this is brewery release. Hops are the name of the game with this double IPA, but we knew we had to take it a step further with Hot Bullet. We're using a new technique, hitting the beer with double barrel blast of Magnum hops, much different from their traditional use of hops, and lupulin dust, pure concentrated hop flavor, directly into the tank to emphasize the intense pine and citrus flavors of the West Coast hops. So I've brewed a couple of lupulin beers. I believe, JR, you've had a couple of the ones I've brewed. Just brings pretty incredible, intense nose to the an aroma to the beer. So I'll pour this out. It is it's really super gold. Like, you don't ever see double IPAs that are this light color. Very rare that you do. It's got nice clarity to it, just a touch of haze, but you can definitely see right through it. It pours off with incredible head retention. I poured this, 10, 15 minutes ago. The head's still right there when I jostle the beer around. And the nose is, you do get some of that West Coast fruitiness, some pine and citrus, just that, kind of like hello, old friend, West Coast IPA smell. It's got a beautiful fruitiness up front, dissipates quick. I'm not sure of the IBU on this. I didn't see it.
55.
55. Okay, so it's listing a little lower because they are using lupulin hops. It tends to take the IBUs down, but still has that sort of concentration of hoppiness to it. It's incredibly drinkable. It's 8%, I think. I saw.
Yep, that's right.
Yep, 8%. It's dangerous because this drink's as smooth as a session IPA. There is no hint of 8% on this beer at all. It finishes super dry. It's almost approaching sort of brute IPA in the dryness of it, in the dryness of the finish. But wow, what an incredible beer. It's, we were talking about beer labels earlier in the week and cool labels, not cool labels. I don't know that this really falls into a category of a cool label. It's just sort of a yellow can with Hot Bullet on it and the Sierra logo at the top. I mean, just very nondescript, and that's sort of, I don't know, it just didn't seem to catch my eye as a Sierra beer when I saw it, and I went, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to get that for tonight. But, man, if you guys get a chance, grab it. It's really an awesome IPA.
Yeah, I bet this one, it would be one of those ones, definitely, the fresher the better. And I've had it before. I'm intrigued by this lupulin dust. That's kind of a different thing, right? So I've never seen it.
I've brewed a couple different beers with it. I think 3 altogether now. And I put them at different stages in the brewing process. So I put them into the initial boil. I believe you guys might have had my reverse mullet beer, which was super dank New England.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Experimental beer.
Oh, yeah.
That one had lupulin in the front of it. So that just kind of, and then I've done another New England style with the lupulins at the back end, and then I've done a traditional IPA with lupulins. It just really brings out the aromas and enhances the flavors of the hops.
What was it? Was it a powder?
It's a powder pellet.
Okay.
So it looks like a hop pellet, but it's a powder, and it disintegrates pretty quick.
Yeah, I wonder how they segregate that stuff? You know what I mean? How do they get lupulin dust and then pack it into pellets?
Yeah, I think it's all a type of process of, extracting everything you want out of the hop plant without having all that foliage and leafage.
Yeah, because when you crack open a hop cone, you can see all the little beads of lupulin stuff in there. And I can imagine how it makes this dust, But I don't know how they harvest that out of there. It's got to be something.
Maybe they just give it a good shake. Maybe it's just the shake from the hops.
You know what,
Chris? Uncle you can probably identify with that.
It's magic. That's what it is.
It's fairy dust.
It's magic. Yep. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
It's magic. Okay.
Well, if I may read just a quick quote from the website about this beer. It says, brewed with a double-barreled blast of Magnum hops and lupulin dust. Hops are the name of the game with a double IPA, but we knew we had to take it one step further. With Hop Bullet, we're using a new technique, hitting this beer with a double-barreled blast of Magnum hops and lupulin dust, pure concentrated hop flavor, directly into the tank to emphasize the intense pine and citrus flavors of classic West Coast hops. So that's what makes it so attractive to me is, I've spent all summer drinking New England IPAs, and I love them, and I'll continue. I mean, I just had the double dry hopped M43 came out last week, and Uncle Pete and I went out to the release, and it's delicious and wonderful. But you know what? We went to another brewery Becker, after that, and had a nice old traditional West Coast style IPA, and boy, that tasted good. Just it's kind of almost forgot, where I came from or something. And this sounds like just a home run of that nice piney West Coast. That a couple of years ago, before the New Englands came out, this was what we were all enjoying, and I'm looking forward to going back to it. And I think I'm excited enough from your review to go out and give this one a shot. So
you gotta hand it to these guys. They know where they don't forget what got them where they are. Like it would have been nice and easy to kind of just start settling into kind of like the mainstream beers and just kind of mass producing stuff. But these guys, they still continue to bring the variety. What, 30, 40 years in?
Yeah, absolutely, they do.
You should see.
And, they've had several series with the southern and northern hemisphere where they were one of the first, if not the first, of the craft breweries to bring sort of the southern hemisphere, New Zealand and Australian hop varieties into people's palates in the U.S.
Yeah, they do have a number of variety packs. Speaking of variety, if you've ever been in the stores and look on the shelves, you'll see snow pack, fall pack, a party pack, a 4-way IPA. I mean, and they do beer camp series, I think. That's Sierra Nevada, right?
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
They've done all kinds of collaborations and just fun to go out and experiment and try different things with people. And but yet they've got a standard offering of 25 or more year rounds and seasonals and some of their high altitude beers, which I think we're going to taste a few of those in a little bit, and including then some barrel age. So I just think they're a fully rounded brewery that's showing their wisdom and their the fruit of their labors over 40 years, and we're blessed by it. So again, another bunch of reasons for celebration of Sierra Nevada.
Cheers. So yeah, I guess it was a year or two ago we did an episode called Old Dog New Tricks, where old breweries try to stay relevant and keep innovating, and these guys are way ahead of the curve. They continue to, the New England IPAs got hot. Their roots are on the West Coast, but they've got Hazy Little Thing now. Yeah. They continue. Hey, whatever's relevant, we're going to be in the game, and they're always one step ahead of the competition. They're easy to find in your grocery stores, even in some convenience stores. And I know I've even seen 7-Elevens that have the OG Pale Ale, which was one of the legendary first craft beers that everybody enjoyed. So
yeah, I mean,
that's the roots. But look, now we got a Hop Bullet, we got Hazy Little Thing, we got variety packs. They got innovate and stay relevant.
They got that Hop Hunter IPA that's got hop oil. So now they got hop dust, and then they got hop oil. It's magic.
It's flipping magic.
Yeah, and then who knows what kind of offerings they could be getting into on the West Coast, which now in Michigan we could be able to start enjoying.
Yeah, a CBD IPA, the whole alphabet.
Yeah.
THC IPA.
XYZ.
Prop 1.
So there'll be a little bit more of that coming in the hipster tipster from this week.
Oh.
Prop 1 IPA.
So just hang on to that idea.
Gotcha.
We'll call that one Prop 1 Bullet.
We're coming back to that one.
All right.
All right, let's go to Chris.
Yes. Well, I could not get a celebration, which seems crazy to me. But I guess it's a week before Thanksgiving. Should have by now. But I did jump when I saw this next offering, because I'm sure you guys are aware of it. I was not aware of this. And I don't know why. It seems like they probably have made this style before, but Sierra Nevada makes a stout. They make an imperial stout called Narwhal, and I had to pick it up. And, full transparency, guys, I already had 1.5 of these. I mean, this stuff you pour it, it's dark. It's motor oil. You can't see through it. A nice thick brown head on this stuff. When you sniff it, I mean, you're getting you're getting a nice sweet aroma. A lot of times with the stouts, you get the dark fruit. That's what I'm getting on the aroma. This a little tiny bit of the cocoa. It's not a beer you can chew, but it's definitely a stout. Nice sweet taste, and then once you swallow it, then the coffee kicks in. I mean, this stuff is, first of all, it's ABV 12. It's boozy, but it's not like it's not super boozy. It's not like making you crick your neck kind of boozy. We all know that feeling. That's not there. It's 12%. It's easy to drink. This is dangerous. I have 4 more of these, and it's rather affordable. I got this thing is, first of all, it's sold in 6-packs. Like $13 out the door. But when you think of Sierra Nevada, at least in my experience, it's always been kind of like the hoppier beers. Your pale ales, your kind of IPAs. This is my first experience with a stout with Sierra Nevada, and I am very pleased. So if you see this, I have the 2018 Narwhal Imperial Stout. You see it, pick it up. I know JR may have a little older version kicking around for the end of the show.
Well, we're probably going to table that till Cellar Raid, just because why do 2 Narwhals? But I got another ace up my sleeve for the end of the show. But I do have a 2012 Narwhal. I found 2 in my cellar. But we'll save that for a future episode. But the point being that, this can be... I'm going to read again from their website, and it does say that it will age well in the bottle for years to come. A malt-forward monster highlighting the depths of malt flavor. Narwhal Imperial Stout is inspired by the mysterious creature that thrives in the deepest fathoms of the frigid Arctic Ocean. Featuring incredible depth of malt flavor, rich with notes of espresso, baker's cocoa, roasted grain, and a light hint of smoke. Narwhal is a massive malt-forward monster. Aggressive but refined with a velvety, smooth body and decadent finish, Narwhal will age in the bottle for years to come. So I'm looking forward to trying those 2012. I got 2 left. Hey, maybe it might be a nice Thanksgiving beer for next week's episode. Never know.
Again, I'm surprised at how drinkable it is.
Yeah, and it is, over 10%. And that's great. I mean, it's going to warm you up really nice. And according to the site here, it says it's about a 60 IBU. So that's a pretty good hop bill for a stout. Mm-hmm. If I just have to point out a little trivia tidbit. If you read up on a little bit of the Sierra Nevada history, the truth of the matter is that Ken Grossman's first offering when Sierra Nevada Brewery was formed was a stout. So it hasn't seemed like it's been their most popular offering, but it was the first. And then followed on from that, they got into the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and then the Celebration. So that's kind of the 1, 2, 3 order from the beginning. And, I guess they know what they're doing when it comes to stouts and the darker beers, as well as all of the West Coast IPA stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And I think is there a barrel-aged narwhal, JR? Do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, it comes in either a 22 or a 750. I think it's a 750 caged bottle, and that's a wonderful offering as well.
Barrel-aged, was it like 15%? I mean, it's...
Oh, I'm not sure. The website says that the one you're drinking is 10.2, but that's from last year's vintage, so maybe this year's was stronger. I'm not sure.
Correct, 10.2.
Okay.
I had 12.0 in my brain. My fault. Still.
No big deal there, but let's see. It doesn't have it's called the Trip in the Woods series is all their barrel-aged stuff, so I'm not sure how strong. See if I can find it on their website. Trip in the Woods.
There's only 2 listed.
Okay, yep.
Current ones.
Apparently every year they do different Trip of the Woods. So the barrel-aged narwhal is not on in 2018. It's not being produced, I don't believe. But ironic that we would mention that, because we're going to go right into Uncle Pete, who's going to review the next one, which is part of the 2018 Trip in the Woods series, which is the barrel-aged series. So I'm going to let him take it away.
All right, unmute. There we go. Okay, so when beer meets barrel, incredible things happen. And this is a caged, corked bottle, a bomber of Trip in the Woods barrel-aged series. It's called Maple Scotch. Scotch-style ale brewed with maple syrup and aged in a bourbon barrel. I did pick this up in September when I was at the brewery in Chico. I did taste it while I was there, but we're going to go into it again. So let me uncork this and see what we got going. Just reading from the website, it says the passage of time and the influence of wood combined to create a final product much greater than the sum of its individual parts. Trip in the Woods series is designed to highlight the complex interplay between beer and barrel. Each beer is matured in a wooden cask originally used to age in mellow spirits, and in the time it spends in slumber creates a rich and layered flavor unique to this difficult and hands-on process. It's a 9.8% ABV, and it spent 10 months in a bourbon barrel. And this was a 2018 release. Now, this has, this is not a black beer by any means, but it is a very dark, rich, deep red copper color. Very little head on this. I don't know, JR maybe poured it a little mildly, but the aroma nonetheless, it didn't take any head really at all to give it a great aroma coming off of the glass. Very sweet. Very molassesy, syrupy smelling. Maybe some of that sweet dark fruit. But boy, my palate is just saying, taste me. We did let this warm a little bit, and I'm glad we did. This is very sweet. It's like candy. It's like a liquid candy.
Ooh.
Very caramely. I don't think it's too complex. I mean, it's straightforward with the caramel sweetness. Nice effect from the wooden barrel. It's got a nice dry aftertaste. A good bitterness. It's not really overdone in any one way. I think it's got a nice sweet balance to it. The maple comes through pretty good too. which may be the source of the majority of the sweetness, quite honestly. It's not really a malty sweetness. It's probably a maple syrupy sweetness. It is a little sticky. JR, what would you say about this one?
Well, definitely the aroma, the maple was noticeable on the aroma. I love good maple beer, but a lot of maple beers don't have much maple flavor or aroma. This is an exception to the rule. They've done very well of preserving the maple flavor, yet not making it cloyingly sweet. So it's over. I think you hit the nail on the head where everything's rounded out and perfectly balanced. You get oak, you get caramel, maple. The malt's there, but it's nothing overwhelms anything else. And the maple's actually quite noticeable and very enjoyable. And I love a good maple beer, and again, it's very, very rare that you get a maple beer that the maple flavor is still there, because maple is a fermentable sugar that often will get fermented out. So it's a wonderful beer, and it's a real treasure. I'm very, very impressed. One of my favorite beers is Backwoods Bastard by Founders, which is a bourbon barrel Scotch ale, and still one of my all-time favorites. So I knew that this was a style that would probably appeal to me, a barrel-aged Scotch ale, but the maple in this really takes it to another level. And I'm thoroughly enjoyable. If you see this, I highly recommend picking it up. I know if I see any during the holidays, I'm going to pick up a bottle or two. This is again, it's really, really well balanced. It's sweet, but not too sweet. Maple in there is noticeable, but not overwhelming. Delicious. Thanks for sharing.
Here, I'm glad to share. I have actually looked forward to sharing this. I know when I bought it, I go, well, this isn't one that I'm going to have all by myself. So good time to share it. The temperatures have dropped below freezing in southeast Michigan, and this is going to warm our souls.
Boo. Too early for this shit.
Yeah, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, I know.
Yeah.
But good reason to bring out the soul-warming beers, and Chris, you just had a good example of one that's going to warm me up really well. And I know last show we talked a little bit about Scotch ales and Scottish ales, and when I saw this was a maple Scotch when I was at the brewery, I knew I had to buy it. So there was no way I was going to leave without it. Again, celebration to Sierra Nevada. Cheers to you.
All right.
Cheers again.
Hasn't there been talk of hipster tipster? Does that mean that you guys got a couple things for that?
I know I have one. Yeah,
I'm going to let Doug take over that while I finish this, because I got a big closer here for the show. So Doug, why don't you start out with some craft beer news from the hipster tipster?
Well, and I'm not sure how craft beer this is, and it's just sort of something I was reading. The guy who is I forget his name, but he's the guy. He claims he invented Blue Moon, and I'm sure he came up with the recipe. It's in my mind, it's a clone of a Belgian White. I mean, there was Celis White before him, and there was obviously Hoegaarden, which is what the style is actually taken from. So as far as inventing it, I don't know. I think that's a strong claim. He's also the guy who claimed he invented putting an orange slice in a beer, which, again, just a lot of stories and a lot of talk as far as I'm concerned. But he has left his position at Blue Moon, whatever kind of fake craft beer they call themselves, as far as their what is that one called? It's not 10th and Blake. That's Miller's version of it, right? There's a
I think it is 10th and Blake.
Is it 10th and Blake? Yeah. Okay. So that's their fake moniker for their fake craft beer. And anyways, this guy's breaking off from there. He's left his position and is now gone into the cannabinoid drink business. So he is basically making pot infused beverages. So he's gone from beer to that. No alcohol involved in this. It's just because that's still illegal under federal law. State law can allow for recreational use, but still on a federal level, you cannot mix that with alcohol. I mean, you have to have two separate things going. Not that anybody hasn't done that for, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years. But yeah, that's his new gig. Cannabinoid drinks. Coming to a 7-Eleven near you in Michigan.
We have to put an orange slice in them?
I hope not.
Actually, they did say that you could do that. And they would probably prefer to have it be a regular beer with alcohol. But again, the laws, it's kind of like baby steps here. Everybody's feeling their way as to what's legal, what's not. And I guess the CBD doesn't have the THC in it. And
yeah, it's not psychoactive. It gives you It gives you all of the benefits without the buzz. Pretty much.
I know a lot of the bigger companies have invested, millions and billions of dollars into being ready for when the floodgates open with legalities, and we've already seen Canada as a country legalize cannabis, and
it's coming soon to Mexico.
So it's
going to be the squeeze.
Probably
play.
just a matter of time, and these some of the brewery behemoths with deep pockets have already invested in it. It's good to see this guy. He branched off on his own and is starting to go in. But you're going to see more and more of this, and we'll see where it evolves. But certainly is a relevant topic, especially here in Michigan. Proposition 1 did pass, and ironically, in Wayne County, where I live, the only municipality that did not vote positively Prop 1 is Procedal Township, where I happen to live. So I will abstain from telling you what my vote was, but it wasn't my fault.
Means you live in a good neighborhood.
But hey, this is the way things are going. Look forward to some more innovation, some new unique products hitting the market over the next few years to meet the needs of hungry consumers.
Oh, there's going to be
might have the munchies.
There's going to be cannabis IPA, and it's going to probably be delicious.
Go to Colorado. It's already they're already experimenting and doing a lot more things. Things moving forward in that realm.
What's going on over there?
Any other hipster tipster stuff? See, I know I had some. You hear?
Well, in the real hipster beer, PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, is in litigation with Miller Coors because their contract is expiring. Miller Coors does all the brewing for them. Miller Coors basically wants to take their price rates up to where they would have to charge in excess, somewhere along the lines of a craft beer 6-pack, which would essentially put them out of business. So Pabst is suing Miller Coors at the moment and to renegotiate this contract so that it allows them to survive, basically. And we all know the motive behind that is that Miller's slipping sales sees Pabst as sort of the enemy, and if they can put them out of business, they will. And that beer was the original hipster, your dad's beer kind of thing. You go to any hip neighborhood in Chicago or New York City or any big city, and the PBR 16-ounce cans were there, and so God bless them. I mean, get it back. There's enough beer drinkers. Stand by your own merit, and no reason to get dirty and underhanded, and try to put somebody out of business in that regard.
You know what? Pabst Blue Ribbon is too iconic. They'll figure something else out. If Miller Coors is going to mess with the contract, they'll figure it out. And shout out to our buddy Matty A. in San Francisco. Probably the best boss I've ever had at any job, with no disrespect to any of my other bosses, but loved working for Matt, and he's with Pabst now out in San Fran. And if he ever gets to listen to this, man, keep fighting the good fight.
Well, and one more shout out to our friend and former coworker Christine Day, who actually works for Sierra Nevada, and was thrilled at the prospect to be on the podcast, but had to decline because of prior commitments. So I did let her know we're going to be doing another Sierra show, and I think for good reason, because these are fantastic beers.
Amen. I think we got one more hipster tipster news story from Uncle Pete, and then we're going to hit the grand finale here with the big close here.
All right, here's one that's kind of exciting, and we talked about this. We talked about this brewery on the last show. Guinness actually is going to release their first barrel-aged beer coming out of their Baltimore, Maryland facility. And the Guinness itself was actually brewed in Dublin, Ireland, but then shipped over to Baltimore and aged in Bulleit bourbon barrels. So very much looking forward to this. I can't wait to see it, and as soon as I see it, the money will fly out of my wallet, and then the beer will fly into my mouth. So I know we all like a good standard Guinness stout. I think this is the Antwerpen stout. I know they've got a couple of different versions, but anyway, I'm so looking forward to the Guinness stout aged in bourbon barrels. I mean, again, here's an old dog with the new trick, joining the rest of the party. Everybody's been going after the barrel-aged stuff, and I'm glad that Guinness has decided to go down that path, especially in North America. I think they'll find a good following for it.
Yeah, I have an article on this beer in front of me, and I'm just going to read a couple sentences here that will shine some more light on this beer. It's brewed in Dublin, aged in Baltimore. That's the transatlantic teamwork Guinness revealed today in announcing its new stout aged in Bulleit bourbon barrels. The brewer's latest experimental beer to come out of its new American home features its Dublin brewed Antwerpen stout aged for 8 months in Bulleit bourbon barrels at the Oban Gate Brewery and Barrel House in Baltimore. So there you have it. So
I got this.
So yeah, it's great to get the extra info. I know we actually brought this up last week, or the last episode on the Hipster Tipster, but we didn't have the technical info. So it's great to have that stuff right now, and it actually makes me want it more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm building in anticipation, and as I read down through the article that JR was going through, there's even the potential down the road that Guinness has access to an incredible supply of barrels from many spirit makers around the world, like Don Julio Tequila and Zacapa Rum. So who knows? I think you might see more offerings from Guinness as we get down the road. I think they'll put the toe in the water with the Bulleit bourbon barrel version, and based on the outcome of that, maybe they'll move forward with some additional offerings.
Well, that sounds good, and we're looking forward to it. But I'm also looking forward to this last beer of the night. And I referenced that story about an old competitor of mine when I was in the business in Northern Virginia many moons ago. But one of the beers that was always in my Sierra Nevada holiday case that he mixed up for me was the legendary Bigfoot Ale, the barley wine from Sierra Nevada. So I make it a point to try to get a 4-pack of this every year and stash some in the cellar. Some years didn't survive because I drank them all. Other years, maybe I missed a year here or there. But I randomly just plucked a bottle from the cellar today, and this happens to be the 2013 vintage. So 5 years of aging, pretty good number. So Uncle Pete just opened this and poured himself a glass. I'm going to pour myself some. I can tell you this is always a treat, and I'm really looking forward to it. And what's fun about reviewing this beer is not only every year it comes out, but it's a real treat to sample different ages because the changes that occur with aging, it's a real good barometer for those changes. And before I even taste this, I want to mention that just 5 days ago at my homebrew club meeting, one of the people at the meeting brought a 2006 Bigfoot that we sampled that was absolutely dynamite. And of course, there.
Uh-oh.
He's checking back in. He dropped for a quick second. Hold on.
The whole thing dropped, or just
he dropped? You're going to be on here in a second. All right, there you go. Just not much. Just pick up from. Oh God.
Start story over.
I don't think you missed the whole thing though. Now you're muted. Now you're on.
Okay. All right. We good now. All right. I guess I'll. All right.
Start from the homebrew club.
Is that about when it went out?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So just the other night at my homebrew club meeting, one of the other members brought a 2006 Bigfoot to sample. And what a treat that was. It's great to sample these older versions and see how the test of time, how these beers hold up over time and how they change and the complex flavors that result from the aging. A lot of times you'll get, the beer oxidizes. A lot of times at some point you'll peak and then it'll start to deteriorate in quality. But the 2006 was very enjoyable. These barley wines are made to be aged. And so I got a 213 in here. I'm going to take, I just poured it. It's a little, probably between copper and brown. You can see through it. It's pretty clear. There's the head was a nice frothy white head, but it dissipated pretty quickly until it's just kind of hugging the rim of the glass now. What head is left laces very nicely along the side of the glass, though. Carbonation's there.
I'll continue, Jerry. I don't know why he's dropping, but
you're on the same.
It's very perfumey. I'll let JR go.
All right. Well, I disconnected again for some reason. Is it just me or is it Pete too?
You're both on. Pete's been on the whole time.
How can that be? That just I'm dropping. So it's not the
it's technology.
It's not
can't explain.
It's not the internet because Pete's on the same internet as me. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe I'll start using my laptop. So. All right.
Maybe you're
all right.
talking real loud.
Yeah, all right. All right. Well, you can hear me now, right?
Sure can.
Take 3. All right. So I just poured this. I'm getting really nice. I'm getting all kinds of aroma. Just strong everything. Strong malts, strong hops. I actually do get pretty good hop features on this aroma.
Oh, sorry, Jerry. You want me to say something? Yeah, the perfume. It's like so flowery and perfumey. I just get this, like I just stepped off the plane in Hawaii. I mean, it's just scented so nicely.
Yeah, nice strong aroma. I think it might be Centennial hops. I have a pretty good nose for those, and that's got a nice perfumey hops. But at any rate, yeah, definitely there are hops on. This is an American barley wine. There are 2 types of barley wines, American style and English style. English are more earthy. American style goes for the high hop. Traditionally, mostly a lot more hops in the barley wines, the American styles. This is definitely American style, but
bittered, yeah. Bittered with Chinook, finished with Cascade, Centennial, and Chinook.
There's that Centennial. That's the perfumey stuff. So I got to dive into this. This just tastes. It smells so good. You can't wait to drink it. Wow. You know what? I can remember having fresh ones of this, and age has been real nice. It's mellowed out. That you're still a lot of hops here. I mean,
tons.
5 years. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, hops fade over time." Well, you know what? This has been aging 5 years, and there's still plenty of bitterness in this and hop flavor. It's 9.8%, so it's strong, but it's not blowing me away. I think the hops overwhelm every other flavor. You would think a barley wine, you might have a lot of malt, and the malt's there, and it's like really, really strong hops, but with a lot of malt backbone. But it finishes dry and bitter and hoppy, and it's still a hop bomb after 5 years. I can tell you that one that I had that was 2006 wasn't nearly this hoppy. So maybe a couple more years it'll mellow out even more. But it's still, most of us beer nuts here like hops, so it's really it's enjoyable.
I know. At the beginning, I get a little bit of a sweetness from the malt, and then the hops kick right in and linger for a very long time after it's been on the palate. This is the fun part of these vintages and these, multiple years of Bigfoot. I've had the pleasure over the years of trying different vintages, and I mean they are very cellarable. These barley wines. And I think I know somewhere in my cellar I've got a 2008 that's just sitting there, in the dark and getting all happy. So we'll have to crack that out one of these days. But yeah, it's a big beer, and here I am. I got this in one hand, and I got that maple scotch in the other. And I don't know, I might have to spend the night, Jerry.
Guest room is available.
Well, and guys, this past spring I had the opportunity to do a 6-year vertical on Bigfoot. And,
wow!
Boy, what a treat! Yeah. Somebody, it was the Big Brew Day in Warren, Michigan. So it was outside, and it was the one hosted by the city. And man, it was cold that day, and the wind was just blowing fierce, and just kind of snowing sideways, and here somebody comes with a 6-pack vertical, and they're like, "Oh, God bless you, this is so awesome." And yeah, it was really interesting to compare and contrast the different years and which one really stood out and which ones had sort of faded and were kind of dying off. So I believe overall it was between 2014 and 2013 were the ones that they were remarkably different, but they really just stood out and had this great character to them.
This makes me want to go out and buy a 2018 and see just how hoppy it is, because I'm telling you, man, after 5 years, this is a hop. The hops have not faded much at all. Well, if they have, there just must have been so much at the beginning, because there is still a great hop flavor presence in this beer, and it's really growing on me.
Well, and I know where to find it. In a little bit of our pre-show discussion, we were mentioning in Royal Oak, Michigan, there's Holiday Market, which is a grocery store, but it probably has the premier beer department, beer selection in the entire state of Michigan, in my opinion. And haven't somebody who's probably been in most liquor stores in the state of Michigan, and so I've got a pretty good idea who's up there. And I just think the leaps and bounds they've made over the past few years. They get exclusive releases on meads from Schramm's, and the Nectar is in there today. Of course, I found everything I needed for the show, and then some. I mean, they had the Bigfoot there. They had Uncle Pete. They had your beer, but it was aged in a tequila barrel. I could have spent hundreds in there today, and I was like, no, stay focused, and I'm not spending hundreds today. But I do want to go back and pick up. There's so many good beers in that place sitting there right now.
Yeah, these barley wines, the Bigfoots, there's a whole cult of beer nuts out there that I know they're stashed away in people's cellars, and they're just, collecting dust. And that's great, because we get the opportunity to share and taste. And I'm really jealous that you got to have, 5 or 6 years of vertical. And, like JR said, the fun thing to do might be every year when you see it, just buy a 4-pack and stash a couple away and drink a couple fresh. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And then, put a few away, and then you can have a vertical down the road and see how it goes.
Yeah, sometimes that's easier said than done. It's sort of like that question, what's left over wine?
Yeah, right. No, you're right. But these are big. How do you end up with a leftover? Right. These are big bruiser beers, man. They're fantastic. I mean, they're like, I know we talked about old ales in the past and other beers that cellar well, and this is another one right up there that's supremely cellarable. And by all means, get some and do that.
Amen. And just I wanted us to piggyback on Doug's sentiments about Holiday Market in Royal Oak. Yeah, one of the best beer stores in the state, if not the best. I've done Melavino mead samplings there. World-class operation. The manager there, Ashley, really knows his stuff. So if you ever go there, ask for him if you need any help with anything. If they don't have it, no one will. So if you can get it in Michigan, they will get it. Now, that being said, stuff goes quick. So be on your horse if something rare comes out. But and you were talking about you could have spent hundreds of dollars. Well, Black Friday's coming up, and that's we had our recent opening of stout season episode. Well, Black Friday is like a real threat to most craft beer lovers' wallets with
and liver
County release. We got Oddside has a big release here in Michigan. A lot of breweries, put out some of their best stuff on Black Friday and heading into the holidays. So, whatever your beer budget is, be prepared to spend on Black Friday, just like the department stores have deals. Even the Motor City Gas distillery, where Uncle Pete and I each got a barrel last year. They have their half price barrel sale. So home brewers out there, if you're in the Detroit area, show up on Black Friday, and I think you can even go on their website or call ahead and reserve a barrel, a little 8-gallon barrel for you to age your home brew in.
Hit on my wallet. How about a hit on my liver?
Oh, that too. So yeah, it's just it's a great time to be a beer lover around these times. Maybe not so much on your budget, but hey, go big or go home.
Well, I'm looking forward now that the cool temperatures have kicked in. Sunday coming, I'm going to be brewing a porter. First time I've done a porter in probably, 10 years. So really looking forward to getting into that style. It's one that I got turned on again recently when I was at Deschutes Brewery and had the Black Butte Porter. And so it just got me turned on to go down to the brewing supply store and pick up a porter recipe. So looking forward to that. It's that time of year, getting dark early.
Yep, and I was going to brew this weekend, but I've got some equipment and upgrades on their way that won't be here in time. And so I decided that over the Thanksgiving weekend is going to be brew day, and I should have a new fermenter, and I'll have my new burner up and running. Buying a 7.5-gallon stainless steel fermenter that should make some really sparkly, awesome beers. And I'm also planning on hitting Motor City Gas and getting an 8-gallon barrel, and I will be doing my first truly barrel aged. I've got a Scotch. It's a Lefroy Scotch aged beer that I used bourbon, or I used charred oak chips, and soaked Lefroy in it for about 2 months, and added that to a wee heavy, and that is up and ready to drink. It is absolutely amazing, and it's only going to get better with some age. And then I also have I've been brewing with another guy in my beer club, and the other installment of beers coming. We used those same Lefroy chips and did a Baltic Porter. And so that is in the bottles, aging as we speak, as well as we split that batch. There was a 10-gallon batch, split it in half, aged half on those Lefroy chips, and then the other half added Montmorency Cherry too. So we'll have a Montmorency Cherry Baltic Porter, which I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm geeked about that one.
Drooling over here.
That sounds delicious. Yeah.
When's the party?
Guys, we gotta do another get together. Maybe we'll do. Yeah. Let's start looking at the calendar. Maybe plan a holiday episode. We can do it again at my house with the mixing board and the laptop, and just have it like a nice bottle share.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm all in. Hey, Dugout, if you need help filling that 8-gallon barrel, let me know.
Yeah, all right. I'm trying to. That's part of the reason I'm doing the upgrades on the fermenter, so I can get, possibly get a good 7 gallons of, do a 7-gallon batch as opposed to a 5-gallon batch, and then put that whole 7 gallons into the 8-gallon barrel.
Yeah, if you want to top it up, let me know. Give me a recipe and I'll do the same thing and make a small batch for you.
Yeah, or just do twin 4s, or do a full 8-gallon and ferment some of it off on a secondary vessel. So still putting the math together on it. I think that won't be the beer I'm doing that Thanksgiving weekend. It'll be the next one because I still want to take my time and do it the right way.
Absolutely.
Well, if I may make a recommendation, when you go to Motor City Gas to get that barrel, sit down at the bar and try a few of those whiskeys they have. They're fantastic. They'll give you a little 1 ounce
I'll do that.
Well, let me know when you're going. Maybe I'll join you.
It'd be like going to the brewery to get a T-shirt, not having a beer,
Oh, you're going Black Friday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But you be aware, when you get that barrel home, chances are I got almost a full fifth of residual whiskey in my barrel when I went there last year. So be prepared to get a bonus. And
I might be tempted to just leave that and put the right on top of it.
Man,
drain at least half of it. You got to. I got about a pint out of mine, and I still have a lot of it, but I've been sipping on it. It's really good. They make some great whiskeys. They've won some great awards. So those of you in the area, seek these guys out. Motor City Gas, Rich Lockwood, great guy, and very generous to the homebrew community to sell half-price barrels every Black Friday to the homebrewing community to make great, interesting beers. So patronize Motor City Gas, one of the greatest distilleries of local small batch distilleries in our area. Well, that about wraps it up here. Anybody else have any closing comments? Chris, you've been awfully quiet.
Just listen to you guys.
I tell you, the taste of this Bigfoot, I have to take a sip of the Scotch ale just to cover it up. It is just stuck on my tongue and it won't go away. It's so strong. And the hops are just insane.
It's reminding me of Dogfish 120.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Sure.
So, yeah, go big or go home. I guess that's the end of this one. And it's not the ABV. It's just, it's strong in every way. It's a heavy hitter.
The aroma when I was saying it smelled like perfume, that's what I think of 120 when I smell it. It's very perfumey, kind of a sweet. I get flowers. I don't know why, but that's what I get.
All right.
Okay.
Well, just to wrap things up, again, we'll raise our glass one final time to Sierra Nevada, to Ken Grossman, and our thoughts and prayers are with everyone affected by the campfire out on the West Coast in California. Hopefully, the firefighters are containing that and keeping damage to a minimum. I know there have been loss of lives, loss of property, people being displaced from their homes. So, if you get a chance, go online, make a donation, or say a prayer for those affected. But great, iconic brewery. Glad we were able to enjoy some of their beers. There's way more beers to discover from Sierra Nevada, and perhaps we will be able to reach out to Christine, our friend Christine, who works for the company, and explore some more Sierra Nevada great beers in the future. So it's been a great episode, and toast to a great brewery. Cheers to Sierra Nevada.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And just to remind everybody, we are at Beer Nuts Podcast on Twitter. We email the show beernuts@christophermedia.net. We are at Beer Nuts Podcast on Instagram as well, if you want to show us what you are drinking. Other than that, I think we're ready to go to Mexico.
Okay, well, as they say in old Mexico City, AMF.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.